This project is going to be your Sketchup Home, which you're going to work on for the next 2 weeks. So we start in SketchUp. First thing that we want to do is make sure that you are looking at the instructions for what you have to do for this. This is a pretty in-depth project, and we're actually going to be working on this project for 2 weeks. So, two files have been included with this week's assignment. First is going to be what we're going to talk about here, written directions. How do you build your home? What are some things to keep in mind? How do we do that? But the most important one is going to be your rubric. And this is where you might want to write down some things of what are you looking at. Top one here, really important, is going to be all your dimensions. How do you get your dimensions? Floor, basically your walls need to be 8 feet to 15 feet, depending on how tall you want your ceilings to be. How big do your rooms need to be? So this is the first box that you're really going to pay attention to. Okay, so for today, so that's what we're really looking at. So in SketchUp, first thing we're going to do is we're going to save our project so we know that we've got this. So your project is always going to be your first name. So I'm going to call it my first name, home. And I'm going to save this and save this to the SketchUp folder that you've been saving all of your projects to. Once your file has been saved, you are then going to, let's get my file saved here real fast. Put this into my SketchUp folder. And there we go. So now once your project has been saved, you're ready to go. First thing that we do is we get rid of temple. We don't need temple here. We're going to start at our origin. Remember that we're measuring in feet and inches. So the symbol for feet is the single quote next to the enter key. The symbol for inches is the double quote. So what you want to do is you want to build out your floor plan first before you put it into 3-dimension. Right now, you don't have to make a square. You can make your home or your walls any shape that you want to. But for sake of this, I'm going to make this. I'm going to start to make this as a square. So I'm going to make my living room is going to be right in my first thing that I'm going to go into. So I'm going to make a living room. And looking at the directions of my living room, it had to be at least 10 feet by 10 feet. I want to have a nice big living room because I want to have a big home. So I'm going to make it 20 feet. And I do the feet symbol, comma, and how big do I want to make it? I'm going to make it a 20 foot by 20 foot, 20 feet, and I hit the enter key. Okay, so this is my living room. Okay, so then what I can do is as I get bigger, I can zoom out. I can see kind of where I'm at, what I'm looking for. So this is going to be the living room for my home. And then what I want to do is say, okay, I'm going to put a bedroom off of the living room. And so what I can do here then is I'm going to add another square. And let's say I want my bedroom to be back off of this. So maybe my bedroom is, I'm going to make it midpoint right here. So let's see here. So I'm going to make this, find my midpoint line. So that's going to be about 10 feet. And my bedroom, if we looked at what our dimensions were, the dimensions for the bedroom, we looking again had to be at least 10 feet by 10 feet. So I'm going to make this a 14 by, and put my comma in, by 8 feet. First one's going to be your length, and then the second number is going to be your width, right? And so there's I did not do the right one. So let's undo that real fast. Why is it's covered up here real fast? There it is. There's my undo button. There we go. Okay. So let's orbit this again so I can see what I am doing here. Now let's try that again. So I'm going to make my square, and I'm going to go out and up, and I'm going to do 14 feet by 10 feet. There it is. Okay, so this would be my bedroom. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through and create, and I'm not going to create all of my rooms, but you're going to go through and create your room so that you can see what is it that your floor plan is going to look like. Okay, now obviously with my bedroom, what I want to do is I want to get so that I have a doorway for my bedroom. So what you're going to want to do once you get this, where it's going to take some playing, is I'm going to erase this line here. Okay. And then what I want to do is use my line tool, and maybe I want my door to be kind of midway. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to do this for my doorway. But what you want to do is make sure that and there's my line tool. So I've got my doorway right here. Okay, so now here's a couple of things to consider. So one of the first things that you're going to have to do is you want to make sure that you're using your measurement tool. Okay, because you have to have your doorways have to be a certain opening, certain width of opening. So down here is this new tool that we've got, which looks like a tape measure, which is going to be my measuring tool. Okay, so when I click on my measuring tool, what I can do is I can click on this line here and say, okay, I've got from this line to this line, that's 4 feet. Okay, so I can say, okay, so that's gonna be 4 feet. So then I can go from this line to my opening of my door. So my doorway there, the opening of that doorway is 5 feet, 8 5/16 of an inch. Okay, so that's wide. That's a pretty wide doorway. Okay, now your doorway has to be at least 3 feet wide. Now I can have a wider doorway. That's not a problem. But you want to make sure that your openings are the right dimension for your home. Okay, so now I've got a good bedroom here, so I would figure out and do the rest of the layout for my room. Now, what you want to do, where we want to make sure that we're not making a mistake, is we want to make sure that we've got everything set up to create our walls for our room. So one way that we can create our walls is like how we did with our offset tool. Okay, so if I do my offset tool here, and I'm going to come in on this edge and I do this offset tool, and I make this offset tool, and I want my walls, maybe I want my walls to be 3 inches thick, right? So this is going to be giving me my exterior walls are going to be 3 inches. I think I want my walls to be a little bit thicker because I want my walls to be, nice and thick. So I'll make my walls 1 foot. Let's go back and do that again. Why is my back arrow missing here? Let's go back. Let's go back in here. And I am going to make my shape here. So let's do my offset again. Let's hit on the line. And I'm going to make my offset 1 foot. 1 foot. So I'm going to add some thicker walls. Okay, so there's going to be my offset here, but now what I've got to do is because I did not make this a shape, so it did not get this line, right? So when I draw just this line, there's nothing to offset because there's not a shape there. Okay, so what I would want to do with that one is I'm going to have to go back in, make my pencil, and say, okay, I'm going to make this wall, and I want to make it 1 foot so my walls are all the same. And your walls don't have to necessarily be the same thickness, depending on how you've got putting your room together. But there's that. And then what I would do here is then take out my eraser lines, and I would want to erase this line back in here, this line back in here, and this line right there. So now my walls are all connected. What this is going to do for you when you make your walls like this is you are going to then do my push-pull tool. And when I use this push-pull tool, I would pull my walls up. I did the offset tool. Hold on here. I don't want the offset tool. I want the push-pull tool. leave your floor where it is, pull the walls up, and this is going to be the walls of your home. Okay, so the idea is you want to get your home built with all of your rooms first. Now, obviously, this is not the complete room, and you have to decide where do you want your walls have to be 8 to 15 feet high. So I'm going to make mine. I'm a tall guy, so I'm going to make my walls 10 feet tall. Right, so that's going to be my 10 foot tall rooms. Okay, so now I've got my 10 foot tall rooms. So this is going to give me the basic shape of my house of what it is that I'm looking at. Now, when you look at this, you can say, okay, maybe I need my room to be a little bit bigger because these are pretty small rooms. This is a pretty small house. It's going to be really hard to get furniture in here. So think about that. The bigger your rooms are, the less you're going to have to scale or change size, and the more furniture and things that you can put into it, tables and chairs and things like that. My bedroom being just 10 foot by 10 foot, I'm not going to be able to put very much in there for my furnishing. So you might want to think about making your rooms and do a little planning of how big do you want your rooms to be. It is much easier to build your layout in 2 dimension and get everything laid out exactly as you want it and make it bigger than to go back and say, oh, I got to redo this room, because you'd have to bring everything down and erase your walls and redo it. So it's a very, very difficult process once you get to this 3rd dimension stage. Once you get here, what you need to do is put your windows in. Now, your windows you can get from the 3D warehouse, and you can put windows in here. The other thing that you can do is you can cut openings for your windows. So your windows have to be 2 feet by 2 feet. So maybe my windows, I'm going to make my windows, I want to have circular windows, right? And so I'm going to make my window. Now, when you're making your windows, remember when you're doing your windows, if you wanted to do a 2 foot circle window, I would actually put in 1 and the foot symbol, because that's going to be the radius. Okay, so the radius is 1 foot. So 1 foot is is the radius of the circle. So the radius squared is 2 feet, which would give you the diameter. So this would be a 2 foot window in my home. So then I would put that again, measure where I want to put my window. And then what you would do, just like what we did with our pirate ship, is we would have to do the push pulling to push pull the object through to the opposite end. I would use the push pull tool, find my window opening, push my window opening through, go to the back edge. And when I click to close on that back corner, let's go back here and orbit back around. I've cut out a 2 foot window hole opening for it. So there's lots of ways that you can cut out your windows, your doors, making sure that you're adding everything. This is going to be a very time intensive project. You're going to be working on this for 2 weeks. This week, you are just building out your home. Don't worry about doing any of the interior decorating, designing, the colors, the paint schemes. That's all going to be next week. So this week, you'll be submitting your home. Make sure that you are measuring, so you know what your measurements are. So use that little tape measure tool and say, okay, how from the bottom here, and you just pick 2 points and you can measure it out. And all right, my ceilings are 10 feet high. So if that's all the way around, you know you're good. You've got that requirement met. You can measure so I've got my ceiling height here. So there's my measurement there. I can measure across my room to say, okay, this is 10 feet, or how far is it that I'm going? You can get all of your measurements done so that you've got everything. Save your project often. If you need help with any of this, you can come to the virtual office hours and we'll get you going. Good luck with it. Again, you're submitting the layout of your home in 3 dimensions. Your home will be built, not furnished, colored, have any interior design decorating done with it this week. So this is not a single week project. You'll be working on this for 2 weeks with this project. So lots of time to get this done. If you have any trouble with it, just reach out.